got it live in the lab. CP3 for Capitals Talk, Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network, episode 139. We got Robbie and Anna on the line to get ready to break down the last week of the Caps week that was. That they went 3-0, which I said they would. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go there because I get tired of just telling folks that I might not be psychic, but I know a little bit about these sports here. You know, I can sense I got a feel for the team. But, Anna, how are you doing tonight?
I was fine up until about a couple of hours ago when our furnace pooped out, and the temperature is freezing outside, and it is dropping in the Knox household. But whatever, that's what sweats and blankets are for. So it just was, one of those Monday things. You're like, of course this is going to happen on the coldest night.
That's how it works.
It's all good. It's all good because somebody's going to come tomorrow morning, so just got to get through tonight.
All right, well, hopefully y'all can stay warm and huddled up in the Knox household and stay warm tonight and get that thing taken care of. But we definitely appreciate you still taking the time to come on and break down this Capitals week that was, because they're definitely rounding in the playoff form and starting to look like that Stanley Cup champion that we saw, last year. And it's definitely good to see this team, put together some solid wins, even though it wasn't maybe the best of competition, but they were all tough games. They all played well, and they played almost 60-minute games, most of the all three of these games. But let's go ahead and get into the week that was and break down these games and talk about these Capitals.
All right, sounds good, and it is nice to be on with you guys and to talk about wins. 3 wins, so that's a great. That's a little cherry on my Sunday tonight because it's obviously freezing in my house. But anyway, so last week the Caps welcomed Ottawa to DC, and in the first 7 minutes the Senators scored twice. But thankfully, in the last 4 minutes, Wilson scored his 18th, assisted by Ovi and Kuzi, and Eller scored his 8th with assist by Orlov and Connolly, making it 2-2 going into the second. The second period was dominated by Washington. You have at 2:38, Carlson scores a power play goal, assisted by Backstrom, which was his 44th. And then at 6:29, Oshie scores his 19th, assisted by Orpik and Backstrom. Brett Connolly gets his 16th at 9:05, assisted by Burakovsky and Eller, making it 5-2. And 90 seconds later, Oshie scores his 20th for a 6-2 lead into the third. And going into the third, so you now have Kuzi scoring 17 seconds with a wrist shot, assisted by Ovechkin, in which that was his 30th, and Wilson his 15th, making it a 7-2 win. And I will say I've definitely walked away from this game frustrated for that first period. I think they missed their 60 minutes of hockey. I'll say they played 48 minutes because the first little bit was a little stressful. But I really felt like once you saw all the goals, in the second period, we were starting to see that chemistry, that relaxed play, and they were out there having a good time. And this is truly what the fans needed and what the players needed. They were 1 for 1 on the power play and 37 versus 23 on the shots on goal. So I have always had faith in Reardon, and I think that this is a game that kind of proved, yes, I'm talking to the players about the stupid things that they're doing. And there were only 2 penalties. So that's fantastic. So this was a really great way to kind of start off, regardless of, what Ottawa's record is or not. I thought this was a great game.
Yeah, Ottawa is a pretty terrible team, and we spotted them 2 goals in the first 10 minutes and just didn't play for the first 10 minutes. And I was sort of surprised at the lackluster attitude. But Tom Wilson, getting us on the board, and then Lars Eller, we've had a couple of these games where just multiple goals get scored in these quick quick successions. And then next thing you know, you blink and it was 2-0 against us, and then it was 2-2, which really changed the momentum in the game. And then in the second, to obviously get 4 goals is pretty incredible. John Carlson, has been great for us this year. It's always a scary thing to give a defensive player a huge contract like this, but he's put up one of the most points by any defender in the whole entire league. He's really proved that contract was really great, and TJ Oshie has been fantastic as well. Getting 2 goals in that period as well, and I don't know. It's interesting that third line. Andre Burakovsky did a really good job setting up that play where Brett Connolly scores. I know we've talked about bad Andre Burakovsky the last couple of weeks. I thought this week he played pretty well. He played on the third line a bit. He also played on the fourth line, and then they put Hagelin up there. And in the future game that we'll talk about, where I thought that Burakovsky played well on the fourth line. So I know people are joking now that we kind of traded for Hagelin and good Burakovsky, even though we didn't have to trade. We traded away bad Burakovsky. So I saw that in a couple of forums that made me chuckle. And made me think of some of the conversations that we've had on this show. But just overall, really great. And Kuzi kind of got the cherry on the top with that goal very quickly in the third. Just kind of end things for the game. But overall, I thought it was just a real beatdown. And I can only imagine if we played the first 10 minutes how bad the score would have been.
Well, I'm not going to allow you to try to put Andre up. No. We've seen bad Andre also this week. Turning the puck over, soft in the zone. Yes, he makes some plays good. And on the game yesterday, we're going to break down that play that he made and scored. That's the Andre we need to see on the regular. But then later on in the game, turning the puck over with your boy Orlov on it and giving up the second goal, that's the Burakovsky we're normally used to seeing. But I'm not going to harp on it. I just can't allow you to try to silver line in that sorry bum right now, because him and Orlov are really starting to piss me off this late in the season. Yeah, I got Andre, man. He got to get it together. But I did like what I saw yesterday when we break that game down. But getting back to the Ottawa game, the first 10 minutes, I'm not really too concerned. It does blow me when the Caps give up early goals and have to come back. But I mean, as you said, Ottawa is what it is. Not saying the Caps were taking them light, but sometimes you got to ramp yourself up to play lesser competition. You know that it's really not going to be a game, and we saw it ended up 7-2. So I'm not making excuses for them, but against a team of that caliber, and that it's basically going to be lopsided. You can just turn it on. That's basically what they did, but the fact that they're able to do that, even come back from giving up the first goal and win, and the second period, has always, been the Achilles heel for the Capitals of previous seasons. But this year, they're the number one team in the second period. You're scoring. So, for some reason, it's the second period that clicked. Last year was because of the long change. We would see them have defensive lapses and, give up stuff on bad changes or get penalties for too many men on the ice. But this year, for some reason, the second period is their strongest period, because last year was the third period. So, I mean, as long as they know that they can... Say that again?
Our third period's been real bad, though. So, we've had to have really good second periods, and we've had to play with the lead, because if we don't, we have one of the worst third period differentials, which is a big difference from last year, and so I think that's why we've had to have such good second periods to try to get ahead, because when we play with the lead, we obviously play much better.
Well, we've also seen this week that they played better in the third also. Like I said, they're doing it when it needs to be done, just like last season. Everybody was questioning before the trade deadline, what are they going to do? They need to make a major move, and they made a couple of chill moves like they did this year. They, got themselves together. They played defense, and we started seeing them play lockdown defense where, they don't give up that late goal or don't do whatever. So, we're seeing it in progression. And with 17 games left in the season, they know what they have to do, and I feel like they're headed in the right direction. So I think they're going to be fine defensively. I think the bigger issue is the face-off dot, because they're, I think, last in the league right now in the face-off dot.
Specifically because of Kuznetsov. I hate to call a player out. Kuzi's been great in a lot of aspects of the game this year, but I mean he is a big. If you look at statistically, where are we falling off the most on the faceoff dot? And almost every night is him. I mean Nicky is very consistently good still, and I think Eller is also very good at the dot as well. And our fourth line isn't terrible. They're not amazing, winning, but 50-50. But if you look at where the huge deficit is, I mean, there's nights where Kuzi goes 1 for 5, and that's really is difficult, especially if you're trying to set up Ovechkin, and then you have to have Ovechkin play defense.
Yeah, it's a total team effort, but I think they're going to get it together. But let's go ahead and get into this second game of the week, Anna. Go ahead, let's break that down.
Sure. If I could just add one more thing of an Ottawa highlight, can I just say that I wish every game we had ref Wes McCauley call a game. I love that guy. I know he seems over the top, but I think he's hilarious. So anyway, so he's great at calling games. I wish he would do more. So anyways, here we go. So Caps head to New York to play the Islanders. First period was an Islanders goal. This unfortunate trend of less than a minute into many of the games recently in which the Capitals give up the first goal. There were no goals in the second. And then the third period starts with a goal from Vrana, assisted by Backstrom and Kempny. And then a minute later, Ovechkin scores his 45th with a power play goal assisted by Oshie and Kuzi. And, of course, you can't not recognize the 45th goal. He's the first NHL player to score 45 goals in 10 different seasons. The fact that that he is above Gretzky, it's just mind-blowing. He's such a fantastic player, and I think we're just honored to have him on Washington for sure. But then closing out the third, Oshie scores his 21st, and we have a win, a 3-1. It was good shots on goal, 28-21. 1 for 3 for the power play, but it was a good game. This one didn't. Unfortunately, this was the one game that wasn't aired on my television for whatever reason. But I was able to listen, of course, to John Walton on the radio, and that's how I follow the game. So his infectious energy with the Vrana goals and stuff just made you feel like you were watching it. So this is a good outcome. I think this was also something that the Capital players needed to keep the confidence, to move forward, and of course to be there for Ovechkin's another milestone is awesome.
Yeah, real quick on two things I wanted to point out. One, that TJ Oshie goal, I think that's giving TJ Oshie a lot of credit because he really just kind of hit it off of a guy, and the guy thought there was a goalie back in his net. There wasn't, and he passed to an empty net and scored on his own team. I mean, we're going to call it a TJ Oshie goal, but it's more of like one of the most boneheaded plays I've seen in a very, very, very long time. On the Ovechkin goal, the power play, he's just been incredible. We've been moving him around a little bit more, so that way he's not always in the exact same spot in his offense. I saw something earlier today that, Crosby, unfortunately, has passed him in career points now. And people are like, oh, look at that, he's more well-rounded or whatever, but and it's like, it doesn't take much for Ovechkin, all he does is shoot from the same spot, right? Well, he's shooting from different spots. He's able to score goals even without shooting when we get to the next game. But he's just an incredible, once-in-a-generation talent. And, I love people like, he's just a goal scorer, which is one of my favorite things ever. It's like, you make that sound like it's so easy to, lead the league in goals for 7 and possibly 8 seasons already. And, I just think that he's incredible. And Vrana, I thought, was such a key goal because that first goal maybe shouldn't have been a goal. In fact, the Islander player, that's the next game. That's the New York. What, is that the New York goal? No,
it was the Islanders game.
It
was the Islanders game. Yeah, the player was clearly offsides on the goal that the Islanders scored, and for some reason it was a non-reviewable play. I don't know why it wasn't reviewable, and the refs.
I can explain that.
Yeah, go ahead, please, because I need to know why that is.
Yeah, Yeah, because I was confused by it too, and I had to look up the rule book on this. So it was a non-reviewable call because it was a touch-up. So they said that the guy had touched up, and so the linesman said, "You're right, he did touch up," and so that washes out the ability to review it. If it's a straightforward, so they were already in the zone, they came out of the zone, and they said that they touched up, and then that player is considered onside. If you're entering the zone just the first time and you're offsides, then that is reviewable. But because it's considered a touch-up, which means that the players have the opportunity to go back to the line, touch the line, and come back into the zone, and the referee said that he did it, even though he didn't, it makes that play non-reviewable.
That's crazy, because it was clear that he was nowhere near touching up. He was almost 10 feet away from the line when the puck was coming back in. And the referee was right there on the wall, not 5 feet from the blue line, and the dude skated right in front of him as the guy was coming into the zone. So I don't know, but I mean, to me, this was a good game, against Barry Trotz, who knows the team. We knew it was going to be, a defensive battle. The Islanders got the lead on that lucky goal that shouldn't have been. And, second period didn't have any offense, but the third period, you mentioned that Rana goal. He made a good play, was at the right place at the right time, and he got it quick, shot it good, because Grice has been was in the zone before this game. After this game, he hasn't looked as sharp. I don't know if, that messed with his psyche or whatever, but he was on a hot streak of not giving up goals and, shutting the door on everybody. So as you mentioned, Anna, the first goal is very key. And after that, I think it, the momentum swung. But if he wasn't playing the way he was, the Capitals had plenty of chances to score, but he just, had closed the door on them. But, Ovi with his milestone, 45 goals, 10 seasons. I mean, there's nothing else really much you can say about Ovi that I haven't already said, that it already has been said. And now that he finally has a cup, on his resume, now they can't talk bad about him. They can say whatever they want now. I don't even listen to it anymore because it speaks for itself. Now, there's nothing you can say about him. So nothing you can say bad about him, because all I'm going to say is he got a ring. He's, he is who he is. You can't knock him for doing anything. But this was one of those games where the defense played well, and, you saw them coming together. You saw some boneheaded plays by Orlov again, but it didn't cost us on the score sheet. So I'm not going to, kill him like I am in the Rangers game for the 2 goals that gave up while he was on the ice. But the team is definitely, rounding into form. Folks are stepping up. You mentioned Andre was on the 4th line in the New York game, the Rangers game. So we're definitely going to talk about that, because he, like I said, he had some good, but he definitely had some bad too. But like I said, I like what I seen from this team. But that game, that put them in a virtual tie with the Islanders for first, even though the Islanders still have a game in hand. But, they're imposing their will. And as me and Robbie were talking during the game and after the game, to me, it was the inexperience of the Islanders. They've been playing good hockey, but now it's crunch time. Now it's pressure time. Now they know what's on the line. The finish line is almost there. Now you see how good a team really is when the pressure is on. Everybody can play well game 30, game 40, game 50, but when it's game 70 and almost game 82 and divisions on the line, playoff seeds on the line, even making the playoffs on the line, those young guys with the inexperience, you start seeing mistakes. And on that empty net goal, it was a simple miscommunication that cost them the chance to even try to tie with the pulling the goalie. So I just think that the Capitals are in a good spot. They know what to do. They know how to do it. And they did it last year, so it's fresh in their mind. And I think they're going to be just fine going down the wire, trying to claim the first in the Metro Division and get that top seeding. Well, Tampa's already went to top seeding with the pace that they're on, but to get that number 2 seed for the playoffs.
Real quickly, one other stat about that 45 goals. Ovi should really have 2 more seasons with 45 plus. If you think about it, remember there was a lockout shortened season, and then there was the lockout year. So, it's amazing, in some ways. I mean, he could already be at, 12, if they had played those seasons. So, I mean, it's just really incredible when you think of it that way, how dominant he's been for the, 10 out of 13 years to do it, and one of those years was shortened, so it's not full year. So basically only 2 seasons he didn't do it, and that's a pretty incredible feat. And I just want to give a quick score update. That Edmonton-Buffalo game is real good. Edmonton scored like right away in that game, and Buffalo has now returned the favor. It's 1-1 with 7:40 left in the first period. And a great game, and that Stanley Cup Championship parade on NBC Sports Washington still looks fantastic as always.
Yeah, I'm watching it too, Robbie. Ain't no other hockey on and ain't no basketball on right now. I'm about to turn some game on that's on NBA TV just to have some sports on in the lab, because I remember going to the parade. It was great, but I'm looking forward to this year's parade when they go back-to-back.
Right. Sounds good. Well, Anna, let's get into that Sunday matinee New York City nationally televised pretty exciting game.
Yeah, definitely. Even if I had to listen to Mike Milbury, it was okay. I was still happy with this game. Very physical, very fast, and very impressive hockey. So yesterday the Caps played the Rangers in Madison Square Garden, and here we go. It's at 45 seconds into the first. The Rangers score first, but then Carl Hagelin scores, assisted by Eller and Orpik, and I think that helped a lot of the fans and people who were not quite sure if he was going to have chemistry with the team. I think he's proven it, and I think Jensen has also. I like both of them. Burakovsky gets his 9th with an assist by Nick Dowd and Boyd for a 2-1 Caps lead. The second period, the Rangers scored to tie it up, and there were no goals in the third. So now we go to the shootout, and so this is the call around the world that everyone was like, what just happened there? You have Oshie and Backstrom, getting those goals. And then just kind of the crazy thing that happened with Ovechkin is I don't think I've ever that I can recall a shootout in which the goalie intentionally throws his stick at the opponent. I don't know. Wasn't quite sure what to do with this, but I think I was actually more appalled with the calls from the refs saying, oh, no goal, when in fact, you throw your stick, it is going to automatically get a goal for the other team. So it was just kind of one of those ridiculous referee calls once again, but Capitals walked away with a 3-2 win. Both, I have to say, and I don't usually praise other teams, but both goalies were hot yesterday. And this kid, basically, that's playing for the Rangers, I think is 20 or 21. You got to hand it to him. I mean, he was damn good. So this is a fast, aggressive, physical Capitals team, and I will say that I usually find a player that gets under my skin, and I'm kind of convinced that D'Angelo has become my Ryan Reeves of the West Coast or of the East Coast. There's something about this guy, him and Clutterbuck, I just hate. But D'Angelo, I just find him such a dirty player. So that kind of got me just all kind of fired up yesterday, but you know what? We walked away with the win, and that's really all that mattered.
Yeah, Georgiev is a phenomenal goaltender. 37 saves on 39 shots attempts, but it is very funny that in the end he did cost his team. So it's a crazy rule. It makes a lot of sense, though. If you use your stick as a projectile to stop the opponent from scoring, it's an automatic goal. And it's funny because Ovechkin knew the rule, but they interviewed a lot of the Capitals players. Many of them did not know this rule. I had known that rule, but it was so surprising that the 4 referees on the ice seemed to not understand this rule. Now, one of the refs did come over to our coach and say that he thought that he had lost the stick. He didn't think it was thrown at Ovechkin. And if you watch some of the replays, I can see where you could see that. I think the TV view of it looks very different. I still question whether or not there was an intent to throw the stick or not, because I've watched this over and over and over again, trying to figure out, did he try to throw it or did he not try to throw it? It definitely slipped out of his hand, hit his leg, and then went out towards Ovechkin. Now, whether that was an intentional movement or not, it's hard to say, but regardless of whether he intended to throw it or threw the stick, and that's the penalty in the rule book, and that's an automatic goal awarded. So it doesn't matter the intent behind it, which some people are trying to argue online. It's very interesting in the fact that he never actually released the shot. And I've never seen a shootout, a goal scored. And in fact, if you go to the Yahoo Sports app, it doesn't even list Ovechkin as scoring the goal. It just has the game being over. It's just kind of funny, because I don't know how you would explain that in the app. Like, usually it's goal or not goal, not, goal interest. There was no third option for them. But a win is a win, and we'll take the 2 points. Oh, one last thing about the Hagelin thing. Hagelin was drafted by the Rangers, so it's extra sweet. I know people usually think of him as a Pittsburgh Penguin because he won some championships with them, but he very much was a Ranger for a long time, and a thorn in the capital sides when he was a Ranger in some 7-game series. So the fact that he actually scored against the team that drafted him was very good as well.
Yeah, it was definitely an entertaining game. It was definitely an entertaining game. With the shootout thing, to me, it clearly looked like he threw the stick. I mean, because he was beat. Ovi waited him out, and Ovi was about to get the shot off when the stick came over and then knocked the puck off his stick. That's when he threw his hands up and was like, yeah, that's a penalty. With the referees, I think to them, like you say, with the angle they were at, it might look like that Ovi might have hit the stick with his skate or something, and the stick came out. But that's why they went to the replay to actually see it. That's why I didn't take that long for him to come to the conclusion that he threw the stick. But it was a good game. The Caps, it was a sweep of the Rangers. They haven't done that in a while. And they've won, I think they said, 9 out of 10 against the Rangers in the last head-up meetings. So it was a team with a lesser opponent that's in the rebuilding mode, traded off most of their pieces. So this was a division battle. That's why I feel it was so close. And as you mentioned, the goalie for the Rangers had a hell of a game. He was very impressive. He had a hell of a stop on Ovi from the Ovi office on 2 straight occasions, and he got there and was able to deflect it and not let him score. So he's definitely the Rangers' future goalie, and he's getting some great tutelage from Lundqvist and getting some good in-game action. So it was a good game. It was good to see the Caps get the victory, even though they did have to go to a shootout. But like I say, this team is rounding into form, had a 3-0 week, and then go over the next games that we got, I believe, 3 next week. And leading up to that.
Carol, I have one last thing to talk about. That review, they weren't going to review it. They said it was no goal. They were about to go to the next one. I'm super happy Toronto buzzed in and said, wait, we're going to overrule you guys here. So they weren't going to go to the monitor. They had the option to go to the monitor, and they didn't. And that's when you could hear the buzzing in the background being like, hey, Toronto's on the line. They want to talk to you guys. And I'm happy that Toronto did that, because I think it would have looked really bad for the NHL if they hadn't kind of overruled the local officials for sure. And I'm kind of sad that I did not know that we had beaten New York so many times, because if that's the case, the one time we lost was the time that I went to Madison Square Garden last year. So that's disappointing.
Your fault.
I'm having the bad luck. Well, I saw us beat the Rangers a different time, but still, it's I want to see a win in Madison Square Garden at some point in my life, and I'm very jealous. We have a couple of fans of the podcast that were actually live in Madison Square Garden, including Bernie and his brother Ron, and a bunch of other people that we know as well from the Sin Bin. So I'm happy for all of them that they got to see a win in Madison Square Garden, because that is on my bucket list. But we can take a look at the upcoming week. It's a busy week. Wednesday, March 6th at Philadelphia. It's 7:30. We have a nationally televised game. Again, it's going to be on NBC Sports, the national one. And then I'll just go through the list, and then I'll break it all down with you guys. Friday, March 8th is versus New Jersey Devils. It's a 7 o'clock start. That one will be on our regular NBC Sports Washington. And then on Sunday, Winnipeg Jets, also NBC Sports Washington. That's a Sunday 7 o'clock game. So the Winnipeg and New Jersey games are home ones in a very short homestand. And then the Wednesday one is on the road in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia has been playing phenomenal. So we'll start it there. They've been playing great hockey. hockey, I'm kind of the mindset, I hope that they and Carolina continue to trend upwards and maybe knock Pittsburgh and the Blue Jackets out of it. It seemed far-fetched a couple of weeks ago, but New Jersey's been on a bit of a tear lately. Carol, what are some of your thoughts on Philadelphia's been on a bit of a tear. What are your thoughts on Philadelphia?
They've been getting some solid goaltending. They've been getting timely scoring, and even after they didn't trade Wade and Simmons and most of the players that they got rid of earlier, they have a young squad that's playing well. I'm not really too concerned about them. The Capitals are going to play them head up. I believe they beat them 5-3 the last time they played. I just think the Caps are going to be able to, do what they need to do. They have a hot young goalie, Carter Hart, and I'm not even concerned. I mean, with the playoff thing, it's cool. I'm not worried about, any other opponent. The Capitals are going to do what they're going to do. It should be a victory, but we know it's a division game. Philly's playing for their playoff life. I believe they're 2 points out of the wild card spot. So, and just to quickly mention Columbus, as I mentioned last week on this show when we were going over the trade deadline recap, when I said that making all of those moves was going to adversely affect Columbus, they've lost 3 out of 4 of the games since they made all of those moves.
Yeah. One other note I wanted to point out in the Philadelphia side of it, that Brian Elliott has come on and been, I believe, their 8th goaltender of the season. That's pretty crazy. It sets a new NHL record for most goaltenders by a single team. But he's been playing very well. But we won't see our old friend Neuwirth because he is out with an injury. Anna, what are some of your thoughts on playing Philadelphia?
Well, I had the same thought that I wrote down like goalie question mark because I didn't know if they had one that was consistent and one that they were finally going to stick with. But, that's always a huge position to fill and, whatever they're in. But to have so many changes is kind of crazy. They're 32, 26, and 8, and I still think that they're pushing forward. I don't think that they want to be affiliated with the Penguins. They want to come out and they're going to be their own team and they're going to keep moving forward. But you have the huge, like, Claude Giroux names and, the Voracek names to think about that. It's just another team that the Capitals cannot go up against and assume anything. This can't be right off the bat 2-0 Flyers lead. They need to check it, immediately because I think we get a little too comfortable in that first period. But I think it'll be good, and of course you got Philly fans, so you got to consider that that's not going to be an easy place to play.
For sure. Carol, what are your thoughts? Do you have any final thoughts before we move on to New Jersey?
No, this should be a good game. It's going to be competitive. It's that time of year, getting down to the playoff push. And as long as the Capitals play their style of hockey, it should be a victory.
All right, so this New Jersey team has been up and down all season. They're a bit on the downtrend. Just looking back at the previous schedule at the end of February, they lost to a very good Calgary team. But then they lost to the aforementioned Philadelphia team 6-3, and they lost to Boston 1-0 on Saturday. And they'll play Columbus on Tuesday before they play us on Friday. So that'll be an interesting matchup as well. So they'll have a little bit extra rest, but at the same time, they'll have to play in Washington and obviously we hope that they beat Columbus going, tomorrow. So it's definitely an interesting team in the New Jersey Devils, who's just traded Marcus Johansson actually to Boston. So that had to be an interesting game on Saturday, March 2nd, where Mojo got to play against his former team so quickly. I'm just looking right now to see how he did. He did nothing. He had 1 shot on goal and 1 hit. So he didn't seem to make New Jersey pay too much for that trade. What are some of your thoughts, Carol, on New Jersey?
Like you said, they've been up and down. I'm not really, they were started out hot in the season. Everybody was talking about they're the new up-and-coming team, and we see where they are. Once again, like I say, Capitals do what they need to do, play their style of hockey, and I don't see no reason why it not being a victory, why they shouldn't win this game. So, I mean, we know that, teams are tight. Teams are, there's a lot of parity in the league, so to speak. But the Caps are far and above the better team of the two, as long as they go out there and, like I say, don't get behind 2-0 or 3-0 early off of not being awake for the game, pretty much, because we've seen them sleepwalk through some first periods, early in the season, as recently as a couple of weeks ago. But I think they're locked in. They know what needs to be done. They know what time of the season is, and I think there's going to be another victory.
And what do you think of them, Anna?
Boy, you know what? The only thing that I really walk away with when I think of the Devils, other than Marcus Johansson going to Boston, which is crazy, is that they do have a very, very strong D-line. And I think that is going to be something that the Capitals are really going to have to pay attention to. You have Green and you have Severson, and it's, they have a strong, they're quick, they're big guys, but that's their strength on the team right now. Whether that works in their favor against the Capitals, I don't really think it will. But that's just something that the Capitals need to go into, knowing that those guys are going to be, all over their end of the ice and protecting the goal for sure. I don't know who they'll have in the net that night, but either way, I think their D-line is one to, don't assume that, they have a 25-33-8 record that we're going to come in and dominate. I think we just need to, look at their strengths and weaknesses and really focus on the Devils D-line.
Yeah. Carol, any final thoughts on that before I go into the Winnipeg Jets?
No, you go ahead and go into the Jets. We pretty much didn't beat the Devils down. We know what they are. They're not ready, but they got them on the schedule and they got to beat them.
Right. Sounds good. All right, so the Winnipeg Jets are a very interesting team. So they're currently 39-22-4, the top team in their division. But they had a very down February. They were up. They were winning so many games leading up before February. And in February, they went 8-4 and lost some pretty bad stretches. Had 2 3-game losing streaks and 1 2-game losing streak with a couple of wins, thrown in there. But as it changed over to March, they've done much better. They beat Nashville, which is the second-place team in their division, 5-3. So that was obviously a very important victory because I believe they're only winning in the division by 1 point right now. They also beat Columbus on Sunday 5-2, and they've got a rough week coming up before they come to Washington. They're on a 4-game road swing. They started in Columbus, and they play Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Washington. So that's actually a pretty tough 4-game East Coast swing for the Jets. So they'll obviously get beaten up a little bit by Tampa Bay and Carolina before they play us. Anna, what are some of your thoughts on playing the Winnipeg Jets?
Well, it just so happens to be on my birthday, so I'm hoping to be there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a ticket or not. And also, growing up with a mother from Winnipeg, I have a little bit of Jets blood in me, but I'm all about the Caps. This is definitely a team that last year was very, very close. With their record, I think people really thought they were going to go into the Stanley Cup finals. And I think that they're just kind of going on all cylinders. Just a team that they're fast, but they're young. So and you do have those Patrick Laine and the Connors and the Tanevs. I mean, you have all these names. They have a damn good record, and I think just looking at the fact that it's, we're only in the first week of March, and they've already, taken out St. Louis and the Predators, kind of tells you that their mindset is going forward. They just want to win. So I have a feeling that between the Flyers, Devils, and Jets game, I think this hands down is going to be the most physical, most aggressive, quickest, best hockey watching game for the Capitals, definitely in the next 3. But it's going to be hard. They're one of those teams that I was like, oh God, Tampa Bay, the Jets, the Sharks, and the Caps. Those are the 4 teams that I have had my eye on from the beginning of the year, and it's going to be a good one. I hope I could be there. That would just be like the ultimate birthday present to go and have the Capitals win, and then I could rub it in my mom's face.
I hope that you get to go. One little thing is I want to play. It's Columbus is the Blue Jackets. I don't know if I said the Blues earlier, so they actually were able to beat their rivals, so Tortorella. One quick note on Tortorella, real quickly, I thought was funny. He was quoted as saying that he wants it to be 3-on-3 until they die, which I thought was a great quote. Which I kind of, happy that we won the shootout, but I would be for that, I think that it wouldn't, there's not going to be a lot of wear and tear on these guys. It's going to break down pretty quickly eventually, 3-on-3. I think you could just, do a 10-minute period and then switch sides or something like that. And after 2 periods, I'm sure there's no way it's going 20 minutes of 3-on-3 hockey without a goal. So.
I agree.
Yeah, for the Winnipeg, Winnipeg is they've been playing good hockey, but they're a quick team, they're a fast team, and the Capitals have beat down these quick, fast teams that everyone say be wary of. As long as they play, it's just like repeat every game. As long as the Capitals play their hockey, impose their will, forecheck, defense, and taking advantage of the opportunities when they get them, this team is unbeatable against any opponent, no matter where they play at. They showed me that last year, and I have that confidence going forward for this team. The way they've been playing lately after their 3-0 week, I feel like they should be able to win all 3 of these games for this week also, and get the momentum going, get hot. And I actually heard some critique on Hopi. They were saying that some of the NHL analysts were saying that he's had a so-called off season or whatever, that there's been some goals that he's let in that maybe he shouldn't have. But they've mentioned that Grubauer's not there and they have a younger backup, and would they be able to, depend on him to step up like Grubauer did last year? So that's the only, I ain't even going to say issue, but the only place I can see room for improvement is playing better in front of Hopi, and Hopi, making those saves that we're used to seeing him make. We saw him make some of those yesterday against the Rangers. So, like I said, I'm not really concerned, but if I saw something for improvement, just the defense in front of him in some occasions, and, him getting back into that stellar form of getting those goals that we don't think he's going to save that he still does.
Real quickly, Carol, do you say you ride Holtby for all 3 of them because there's some decent breaks between all of them, or do you give Phoenix a start for one of these 2 home games?
I'd say give him a start for one of the 2. You got to keep him. He hasn't played in at least a week now. So, definitely got to keep him right, because like I just mentioned, Grubauer was a key role in down the stretch for the Caps getting hot, and then, starting the series out against Columbus, even though he lost the first 2, not by, nothing that he did wrong. It was just 2 good games that Columbus found a way to win. But they needed him for that stretch, and you got to keep him locked in and keep him in a game. And I believe Hopi has hit, 50 games now this season, and still got the postseason from last year, and he put up, over 50 games last year. So, you want to start, getting him his work, but you still want to give him time to rest. And with it being an extended, 2 days between each game, that's even better if you give him a game off in the middle. That way he'll get, 3-4 solid days of just, mental work and, practice time without having to go out there on the ice and do 60 minutes against an opponent. He can stay locked in, rest his body, and still be effective.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. I agree that I think he should do the New Jersey one. But there are some people that say that Hopi does play better when he plays like every other day. When he has a couple of the games off, I feel like sometimes it takes him a game or 2 to get back into it. So, but I'm still with you that you need to give Copley a little bit of seeing some time, especially because it's going to be a tough 4-game road swing coming out of this very short 2-game home swing. So we'll obviously talk more about that part of it next week. Anna, any final thoughts on any of this before we let you go tonight?
No, I agree with you, Robbie. I think I'd like to see Copley in for definitely the doubles game. I think Holtby knows how to block out the sound from the Flyers fans and the taunting on that end. And I think he needs to be... he's got to be on the ice for the Jets game. So, but I have faith in Copley. I think that he just needs more opportunities, but you don't want to have too many games without Holtby on the ice. So I think next week is going to be good, and I certainly hope next week we're talking about another 3-0 winning streak, because that would be fantastic.
Yeah, somehow I still think we're going to go 2-1, not because I don't think we can beat all three, and I thought we were going to go 2-1 last week, so I was wrong, and hopefully I'm wrong again, but it's weirdly because I think, Philadelphia and New Jersey ones are always division rivals, even though we should beat them, easily beat them. Like that New York team put up quite a fight for a New York team that should be already out of it, but no team is truly out of it quite yet, and there's a lot of great competition within the Metropolitan, so it'll be another tough week. Real quickly, did you guys record a Power Play Point podcast this week?
We did. We actually recorded right before I called in to you guys. We recorded our episode 97, I believe it was, which was great. It was a fun recap at the Power Play Point podcast. But I'll let you do the link on.
Yes. So if anyone wants to listen to Gil and Anna and get some more great insight on Capitals, I highly recommend it. If you go to SportsOTHP.com, we have both our this episode as well as if you click the Power Play Point podcast button, you can check out the episodes that they recorded today. It'll be up later this week, as well as all their previous episodes. And we thank Anna, as always, for being a wonderful co-host for this segment, and we look forward to talking next week, hopefully with some more heat in your house.
Oh, right. Oh, my God, right. This California girl's like, what is with this temperatures? But no, it's all good, and I seriously am hoping that I can call and say that I was at the Jets game for my birthday, because that would be such a great present. I told Gil tonight, I said, I don't care when it comes to age and things like that, consider the alternative. I said, this is my Tom Wilson jersey number year, and on Sunday I'm turning Brooks Orpik jersey number year, and I'm okay with it. It's all good. It's all about the Caps and celebrating it and moving forward. Another trip around the sun, as they say.
One last fact about Tom Wilson that I wanted to point out before we let you go, because I know you love Tom Wilson facts. And
I do.
Yeah, he was at the Giant earlier today, and I have a bunch of Caps friends on my Facebook that went to it, and the line was so ridiculous, going around every aisle of this Giant. There was over 200 people waiting for him 2 hours before he even got there. The love of Tom Wilson is very real, and so he's doing a second appearance on Thursday. We just tweeted about it on our Twitter, so if you go check out SportsOTHP on Twitter, you can check it out. We retweeted, he had the wrong address at first, so we retweeted the correct address if you want to see Tom Wilson on Thursday. So, I just wanted to put that out there before we ended our hockey segment. But thanks again, Anna, as always, for your time.
Of course. And, let's hope for some heat in the Knox household, and let's hope you guys have a great week, and we'll catch up next week.
And we hope that you have a great birthday, and we hope that you get a birthday win and get to go in person.
Yeah, and maybe meet Tom Wilson. What?
All right, Addie, you have a good night and have a happy birthday. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right.
Yep, bye.
All right, go ahead and get ready to end this Facebook Live feed. Appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. Going to end it here before our music break. Then we're going to get into